Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. You could probably see that there's some things that have changed. There's more changes coming. You may see me utilize this on Week in Review. I'm at least going to try this week. I just switched the camera around, basically. Just been making some changes in my room. But I want to jump right into this show because I'm really excited to talk about it, is the economy and wipes in Star Citizen. We had a wipe in 3.15 with the inventory updates, right? And I thought that that was like a very, very good experience to have had, to wipe everything, kind of start fresh, use a fresh account and start from zero and all those things. And I did not I loved that, okay? But I see people calling for a wipe, or they called 3.17 is now live in case you didn't know, but people were calling for a wipe in 3.17, and I'm not sure that we're ready for that yet. And I think people are making comparisons to a game like Escape from Tarkov and how successful wipes are in that. Star Citizen is not Escape from Tarkov. I think Escape from Tarkov is very similar in a lot of ways because it's still a game that is in progress of and not seen its final form yet. But the reason wipes work really well in Tarkov in a lot of ways to me are, well, there's a clear path of progression and there's like a lot of clear starts and ends in Tarkov, and once you've done those things, you have done them and it's over. And Star Citizen doesn't have many things like that, so there's no starting and ending. But the other key thing is that Star Citizen has spaceships, and spaceships are very expensive, and Star Citizen is not Tarkov in one key way. In Tarkov, everybody starts at the same point, at the beginning of a wipe. In Star Citizen, everybody starts at wildly different points. Obviously, there's different accounts in types in Tarkov, but for the most part, it is nowhere near as pay to win as Star Citizen is in that sense. I don't think pay to win is the right way to phrase it, but I think you guys understand what I mean. Now, those are my opinions here on this, and I accidentally started on the wrong scene, and it doesn't really matter. We're going to bring Virgil in. He's our first caller, so here we go. Virgil, can you hear me, sir?
Hey, I can.
Cool. We should have tested mics before, but that's okay that we didn't. I saw you type that, but I was already like mid-intro.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so just to keep it pretty transparent, I guess, is I think it was you mostly that I started this conversation with around wipes. And I don't know. I see the merit for them because 3.15 was really fun, but there's got to be a different way of doing it is kind of my thing. So where do you fall on this?
I think there is, right? Like, just before we start, I'm a bit low on energy, but like, I think there is, like, it's funny, like, I just did like a quick bit of research before we did this, but the last wipe came hand in hand with a big thread that was written by Jake, where they mentioned now they have the ability to wipe certain segments of the database rather than the entire thing.
Sure.
So, and here I got it down. So they can wipe it in 3 different ways. Reputation is one way. UEC is another, and then items. Now, the concern is, does items include ships earned in game? Because that's the concern, right? Like when people complain about a wipe, it's the ships that they grinded for in game. Now, does that impact the economy? No. Fuck no, actually. It's a consequence to playing Star Citizen. That's like the big catch, right? Is people bought ships with credit cards. So it does not bother me or anyone really if they wipe ships or don't. Let the guys keep their ships because they mean nothing to anyone anyways.
And if anything,
Really in the
it
Go ahead.
balances out if anything, it balances out that pay to win mentality that people have with Star Citizen, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing for me, right? Is like, and I don't like people can keep their reputation. Like that's not my concern. And am I pro wipe? I mean, under the right circumstances, yes. But I'm not like also like hard driving it. I think when they drop a patch and it's like obviously economically focused, which is what this patch is, right? It's got some economic pillars in it, selling loot, rarity of items, like Pico Balls being worth a lot. Like it's clearly there to begin to take shape for the economy. And do I think it should have been wiped this patch? Yeah, probably, but maybe not at the cost of people losing their ships. But the big one I want to hit on too is like this is an MMO. Is it an MMO RPG?
No.
No. Like it's not quests. Yeah, we don't have quest lines. There's not a level,
We kind
that
of
we're trying to
do.
get to.
With
Yeah,
some
but
mission
like,
givers, I think they're like emulating that without the like earning XP and leveling up your character kind of thing. But
but it's not like a tunnel, right? Like it's just if you want to go do that activity, you go do it. Like,
yeah,
but you're just doing it for the fun of it. It's not gatekeeping anything yet, at
yet.
least, anyways.
Yeah.
So I think the centerpiece for Star Citizen becoming or starting to feel more like a game is the economy. Like, and I've drilled this in your Discord like over and over and over. I think like the biggest thing that they could work on is the economy. And
Sure.
thankfully, it looks like that they're on that same page where they're starting to fill that type of content.
Yeah.
So do I think we need regular wipes? It depends on
Can you
how
define
frequent
regular?
they're.
Do you mind, like, not to interrupt, but do you mind defining regular before you define whether you think we need them regularly?
I think the only thing that I would have an issue with if they became regular wipes would be the ships. I want
Okay.
people to earn their ships and keep them. Like I hands down want those guys to keep their ships. I do.
Yeah.
But I also want desperately for CRG to take like serious emphasis on what does risk look like in this game, which ties into the economy. What does performing really well do for your wallet? Do we have enough outgoings? Do we have enough incomings? Like, are we making enough? I desperately want there to be balance there, content there, like as in loot, like progression of gear and accumulating power, like heavy armor being worth a lot. And I think we've mentioned this in an earlier podcast, but you start off with the cheap light armor. You start doing the bunkers, you progress to medium, then you can afford to buy the heavy armor, then the bunkers become easier to do, and you're like, you're progressing through your account. And I desperately want that. I mean, if I were to, yeah, I desperately want that to be the focus, right? Because the problem, and this is like a big thing, an issue I've got with the game is it struggles to feel like a game sometimes, and we're getting
Yeah.
closer there, and we got to give them credit. Like, you a year ago, you and me were like desperately wanting like loot. We're like, oh man, could you imagine when there's loot in the game? They keep ticking those boxes every 3
They are.
months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and it's super good. And I think I just hope we stay on this path, and it looks like they are. And you know, taking some of the loot away from stores was one of the best decisions they've made. Like, and that's how game's going to start feeling like an actual game. But until they delivered on that, like, you got to think about it, right? Like, we're just flying around with NFTs. Like, if you go watch a streamer or a content creator on Star Citizen, they're just flying around with their toys that they purchased with their credit card, right? Like, there's no I think one of the only loops that you can actually play because the gameplays there is like bounty hunting. But if you're
PvP
mining,
bounty
you're not
hunting, right?
mining. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you're not like mine. If you start mining, you're not mining towards anything, right? Like
We do. Okay. Very true. Like from a 99% standpoint, the only people that have done it in that way like are like orgs like what we've been doing, which is like just to let people know in case they don't, is I have an org, but we're just like totally faking it in every way possible to
that's
make it
my point.
interesting. Is like we basically go, okay, but we're also not at the same time. So we go out there, we mine as a group, all the money goes to the org, and then we disperse that money out to the other players in the org who don't have mining ships. So there's like a level of progression there that does exist, but it's also so faked that it's
you're not compelled
it's hard to
to
argue
do it,
that it's
right?
a real thing. Yeah, we
like,
wouldn't have
and
to
that's
do
the
it that
thing.
way.
The dream would be that you guys start a wipe, if they were to start frequently wiping with prospectors or, whatever ship you bought, but the mining tools are really weak. The components on your ships are really weak. And so you guys start to mine because you guys want to rush to get those really great mining tools, and then you want to get the ship upgrades to make sure that you guys can escape when you run into pirates and stuff like that, or NPCs, blockades, whatever. You want like a sense of progression. And I think
you do too.
Yeah, or desperately. Yeah. Like, for example, like I logged into 317.
Use an example.
I
of
logged
an org
into
that mostly does
317
PvP.
Yeah, I logged into 317, and just because I guess we're competitive, right? Like we had the ping out, hey, all this stuff's gonna be rare, tomorrow, so go buy it. And everyone bought it, including me. And like I'm not happy about it. Like I wish that it got wiped so that I actually have a need to go play the game, but I logged in this patch, we all moved all of our armor and our weapons to Grimhex, and that was it. Now we're just waiting for the events to start.
Yep.
Like, I've got no progression to do. And that's because of a lack of economy, right? Like, I have no reason to put any of my armor or weapons at risk to gain any progression, because I have all this UEC in the bank. And the only thing I can buy is ship and weapon and armor in components that really take 2 days to grind anyway, really.
Yeah.
So I got no work to do, right? And that's what we all want is a reason to play, something to grind, right? Like every MMO has the grind. And Star Citizen's grind is really easy now. There's always and I know, like, I'm gonna see this in the YouTube comments tomorrow.
Oh God,
it's an alpha. It's too early for the grind, but
not even that.
Ahead.
I was gonna mention it because you go, we all want. This is one thing they lose their mind about. They're like, they hate that. I don't want, and then they're like, in the YouTube comments, like, don't speak for me. And like that's true that not everybody wants the kind of grind. I think you and I are very much on the same page of. Like you even said it. You called it work, right?
Yeah.
Like MMOs have like it is a job. It is a job, and that is, believe it or not, the appeal for me about games like these. Like I play one of the craziest games ever as far as that goes. Like when we run an eco server, right? It is literally your job. I had to go in this season and farm, and if I didn't farm, everybody in the game would starve. Like I had to do it. So it was one of those, like, I like that. Not everybody else does, but I think that you're like really hitting on something here is like, if we want to tie this into wipes, the next wipe doesn't need, I don't think the next wipe matters, or I don't think we need another one, although like you make super, super good points about this current patch about, I just bought everything in 316 and now I have it in 317. It was kind of silly in that sense. Like a little inventory wipe probably would have been better just for the game. But when reputation ties into actual rewards or the ability to purchase certain things. Like, this is the first step. But what if in 3.18 or 3.19 or 3.20 or in a somewhat soon patch that they go, okay, well, we took some items out of shops. Now we're taking some more or creating new ones. And those can only be purchased at the shops if you've earned reputation there through selling to them or through doing missions for them, right? And then I can see the value in going, hey, by the way, guys, you can keep your ships, but your components are all gone, your inventories are gone, and you're going to start out at whatever you have purchased on your account. But you can keep your ships. I think that's like, I don't think ships should be touched very often, but eventually they will need to be touched, and we can touch on that a little bit. Ships absolutely need to be wiped at some point. Everything needs to be wiped at some point, but only when there are proper economy features in the game. And then that is when information gathering for how long it takes to get X, how long it takes to get Y, vice versa, all that stuff matters. I think when it comes to wipes, I don't think they're getting a lot of information on how the game works, because we're not in a server meshed environment. We're not in a place where there's many players. Like, let's look at cargo hauling. Let's look at mining. Let's look at PvP bounties. Let's look at bounty hunting. Let's look at every aspect of the game. There's no competition. And everything is going to be based off of not only the competition from other players, but other NPCs and things like that, right? So I think that's when we can talk about the economic value of a wipe. But I think you're more talking about the economic value of creating that word work in the game, or for you, a reason to play.
I want them to put just Dreamland, whatever. But I want them to focus on what does the first 30 days of Star Citizen look like? We were watching you do the reacts to the level cap videos. Well, that's the thing, right? Is if they put an emphasis on, what does progression look like? So far we've got earning reputation. What does that reputation get you? What can they put inside of reputation that would make the grind worth doing, or actually a task that needs to be completed?
Answer that question.
Whether that is... an example would be strong distortion weapons for bounty hunting. That would be an obvious one for me.
Yeah.
Considerably stronger than normal distortion weapons that are unlocked through maximum bounty hunting rep. That's one of them.
Things that bust open a door, right? To board a ship, right? Those you should not just be able to buy in a random shop at a city, because that's kind of weird. Maybe you can buy them in a place like Pyro, but you should have to earn the rep to be able to do it.
So in Tarkov, some of the quirks they have are just these really easy percentages, right? If you have a hideout and you've earned this upgrade, then it's 20% less on this cooldown or something like that. Mm-hmm. So what if there was some mining reputation or some logistics reputation that if you were to grind the reputation through mining, then your refining process was 20% shorter.
You skip the line.
Stuff like that. And I'm not talking heavily designed mechanics, just some cheap buffs. You know what I mean? Because it shouldn't take too much effort from a developer to do something like that, right? But when it comes to spinning up an entire another ship, you got to have a art department. It's got to go through 4 different teams. Just talking those easy wins. But I really think that they're starting to go in that direction, and I think that's what Tarkov does, right? When they do these wipes. And just to be clear, I think they should have wiped for this patch because they want to start creating rarity.
The point you make is so valuable there about, I didn't think that we necessarily did, but when you put it that way, we're our entire org purchased everything we needed in 316, waited for 317 to go live, and just moved everything to Grimhex, and now we just wait.
bypassed it all.
Now we just wait.
Yeah.
And the now we just wait
point,
part is the most telling, right? It's just that's like, man, you wouldn't have to. You would be not on the podcast right now because you would be grinding or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd probably be asleep right now, but yeah.
The entire point of this patch was an economic focus, right? Like it was to, hey, you guys don't get to have all the armor sets anymore. Now some of them are rare, but they're not rare because you didn't wipe it. We already all had them from the previous patch. That wasn't, so that's the reason I think that should have got wiped. But, like, I'm 50-50 with it, whatever. Like, I get some people, it might have been too soon for a wipe for some people. But, like, do I think we need frequently wipes? Only if they are heavily focused on refining the journey from starting at scratch and getting, like, halfway through progression. Which is like components, what does rarity of components look like? If they start refining that, then you do that. Because that's why Tarkov keeps doing it, right? It's because you hit a stalemate. Like when I played Tarkov 3 years ago, I know I've got a bad reputation for just always referring to Tarkov when we come on this podcast, but like
it's
3 years ago, there was next to no progression. Right? And then now it's like you're leveling up all these attributes. You're leveling up trader reputations. You're leveling up a hideout. And that's why they frequently wipe it, because they keep changing that experience at you start playing the game and then you're 3 months in, what do you look like? They keep refining that process. So if Star Citizen's going to go that route where they want reputations to have rewards. They want, loot to have meaning and acquire power, and they want to refine that. Then, I think start cycling through these wipes as long as they don't include ships. Ships cannot be wiped. If they start the frequent wipe chain, it cannot include ship, because then we are absolutely pay to win. And that's like a really dangerous route, if you ask me. But I do want the economy to take focus on all of this, because that's where the game is, and I want to beat on it again. It's like, we're just flying NFTs at the river otherwise, like 80% of the people walking into this patch are taking their ship that they bought with their credit card, flying to the river and taking screenshots, like that's genuinely what really is happening. Not many people are playing the game for the game's sake. Here's the big problem, right? Not many people are playing Star Citizen because they want to play a video game MMO with progression.
Because it doesn't
we're just
exist.
here to be mind blown by
players.
the graphics and how good the ships are. Yeah, exactly. But even the game aspect, you want to play Star Citizen, you're just experiencing the sandbox, but you're not playing the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's end it with this a little bit. Let's kind of talk on this end of it. It's hard to disagree with anything you're saying, because it's all fair. But the thing that I keep going to is, are we there yet? So Tarkov started, right? Like Tarkov has slowly worked their way with Trader Rep and all these things, but they already had like a decent foundation at that point. And like we see all the moving parts now of what CIG is working on. And I think you're focused on the absolute right things. I loved that you mentioned the first 30 days. Like, what is that experience? But are we at the point where you think they should start focusing on that stuff? I would argue we're getting there, but we're not ready to start putting that in the focus.
I think it's close though, right?
What do you need?
Super close.
Because what do we need to get there? Because that's what, if we're going to
I think
make arguments about what should be prioritized, those are the things that we should be talking about then, right?
I think the answer is progression. Like, you need to be able to start off as the level 1 noob and be at level 60 or whatever, and have good stuff. So I think the answer is that accumulating of power. Like, you start a wipe and you can maybe afford a couple armor sets of light armor, right? Like, so we need like reputation rewards. We need, significant difference economic wise, meaning like it costs a lot more money, UEC, sorry, to like have heavier armor, like to be able to acquire power to progress further. I think it's that kind of like, that 1 to 10, you start off fresh and then you've got to accumulate. I think that's it. There's got to be a ladder there somewhere.
I agree.
But I think we're close. I think we're close to that point that you're talking about, where it's like, are they starting to focus on that? I think they're just about to, like, put our feet in and start really working towards that kind of stuff. Because that's the thing, right? When this wiped, or when they put this out, the goal was for railguns to be a big deal. Now, this patch has failed to do that only because there's no wipe, right? But if we want to see, what does it look like when someone has rare armor and rare weapons, and you walk past them in Grimhex and you're like, oh wow, like that guy's kitted, he's juiced, he's got super good stuff on. We won't see that until they wipe it, and then we're gonna understand what the balance is of that, right? Like, we don't know what the balance is of how rare are these railguns, how easy is it to lose them, how powerful are they, how is it worth going out and trying to get them? We're not going to know that until they wipe it, because we've all bought 100 of them before the patch dropped. So that's my concern. But no, to like loop this all up and move on to the next caller, I think that if they put an emphasis on the economy, the early stages of it, I think frequent wipes, if they exclude ships, if the ships go, no. The answer is no. The game's got to suck, and you've got to leave the guys, earn their ships in game. But if they can separate that, then I think the wipe should happen frequently. And I think that it should be constantly refining it, because, or maybe just paired with the economic changes, like when a major milestone that ties into the economy, cargo refactor, probably not salvaging, but, they add a bunch of loot to the loot tables, stuff like that. When we hit those milestones, I think we should, but they got to keep their ships. They definitely do. And I'm not that guy either. Like, I've bought all my ships with credit cards, but I don't want to starve people, they try to get their saber, they get it, and then it gets wiped.
They worked hard, and not only did they work hard, they did like incredibly repetitive and tedious things to get to that point.
Yeah, they worked harder than we did with our credit cards. Absolutely. So we got to protect those guys first.
I'm gonna, because before we get into any other callers, this is an important point that somebody makes in chat. They say just delete your inventory and self-wipe. That is only relevant and makes sense to this conversation if the only thing you care about is yourself and your own gameplay, right? You can fake it all you want and pretend, but I don't think anybody wants to pretend. They want to be on a level playing field with other people to some extent and be experiencing the same things together that everybody is experiencing. Like the example of a Escape from Tarkov wipe is everybody is experiencing that wipe, and everybody is experiencing and going through the same mission quests and chains and things like that. And then you start coming across more players. If everybody in the examples that Virgil's giving here that is talking about going down and earning reputation for mining or earning reputation for cargo hauling, to have your ship, the boxes be put on it quicker, whatever, right? You're going through these forms of progression. Those are not things that you could self-wipe, and those are not things, like just removing inventory isn't the entirety of this. And that's why we talked about what are things that need to start coming in, and Virgil mentioned reputation. I would mention more of the quanta economy be put into the game, and see the differences in prices at both shops, and everywhere. And then not only the difference in prices, but the difference in stock and all those things constantly changing. I think that is when one of those points can be realized as well, for wiping being more relevant. And then the information that you gather is actually valuable to the company to figure out the cost of missions, the prices of missions, the prices of items in the game and everything, right? Those starting off points at the very least.
Like you just don't want the game to get stagnant.
Yeah.
Right, like
we're having this
the problem
conversation
is
we want the game to be good. We can make the game fun for ourselves. It's not that difficult if you want to pretend, but I think we want the game to be great, and that's it. And there's no way for it to be great without them doing the work.
And they want that, like they want to prolong, how long it takes the game to get to that stagnant point, right? It's why they're putting loot in bunkers. Like it's why they're making all of these decisions, and thank God they are. Like thank God they're pushing this into a game, and it's not just artwork on display that we're flying around to see. Like, but they got to keep trying to push that stagnation further and further away. And to do that, you fill it up with content that people have to progress through. And I think that should be the focus is, try to extend that time out before it gets stagnant and we all are just hopping in to see the newest ship.
Yep.
So, yeah. But, no, I think that about covers it, yeah?
I agree. And then
that was good.
Just to wrap it up, the content that we have to progress through, I don't like the word have to, but that's where you start providing the feedback and creating the scenarios for them to go, these are the levels of progression and things that we want to go through, right? Instead of feeling of having to do it or whatever. And that's when the game gives you the choice and the fun. And that's where our feedback actually will start to matter, and it's not really players trying to armchair dev. You just say, hey, this is fun or this isn't, and then they can tweak from there. But Virgil, good start to the show. Let me tell you. Thank you, man.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, I'll watch more. See you later.
Get some rest. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, well, bye.
Later, man. All right. So that was Virgil. We got our next caller, who is Johnny Morgan. But before we jump into Johnny, we do have one or two more slots left to call in. If you guys like, ! Discord and chat if you're enjoying the conversation, have anything you want to add, and you can pop into the green room of the Answer the Call category. If you guys are watching on YouTube and you are enjoying the show and ever want to take part, it starts Sunday mornings around 8:30, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if you guys are into it, feel free to join the show now and future shows. Our Discord, I'm also going to be announcing the topic on Fridays before we head out, or at the earliest a Saturday. So you guys are kind of prepared, can do a little research like Virgil did before today's show, and come with the receipts. So all right, let's get Johnny Morgan in here. Johnny, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How am I sounding?
You sound great.
Fantastic. How you doing, bud?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. So, wipes, the economy. Where's your head at here with some of these things?
I'll try to stay brief. I don't really diverge too much from you and Virgil on this one.
Yeah.
There's just a couple key points. One, my background is DayZ, not Tarkov, so I watch a lot of Tarkov. I watch Lupo and Deadly. I don't like the Tarkov comparison, mostly because Tarkov has that weird hybrid of FPS and RPG where you do have to grind skills out and you have to run the same maps over and over again. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Okay.
And the game doesn't really start, in my opinion, until everyone reaches that max level. And then you're actually playing the skills-based game of Tarkov, which is super cool. So the skills-based game of Tarkov I love. That's why I watch those guys. I don't want to personally put the time in to grind a character up, but I would literally just pay for one, going to that payment one, from that game company if I could skip that whole grind and just get into the skills base, because that's all I'm interested in. I don't really want that, though.
See, that's
now, when
weird,
it comes to wipes,
this isn't
100%.
an escape from Tarkov conversation, but at the same time,
I know, but I just don't like the comparison. I prefer DayZ's comparison because you start fresh and everyone starts at the same level. It's all skill based. So sorry, that was my point with that.
The thing is at the end of Tarkov, there's the sweat lords that have all the gear, and then there's not. So it's like also not skill bit. It's weird. Like I
Yeah,
think
there
most
is
skill
the
base
other
is at
side
the
of it
beginning
too.
there than anything. People prefer the fights. Then I don't know, but
I know it's a weird thing, so I don't really love it. But Daisy, I like a lot because there was wipes all the time. So and at a
every time
community
you
level,
die,
right? Every time you die, not necessarily though, because you'd still have gear, right? We'd make bases and stash gear, right, and build stuff up, but it was a skill based right from the start. Yes, everyone started fresh. If you died, you had no gear. You had to go and either go back to your base, which may have been raided, etc.
Yeah.
That's what attracted me to Star Citizen. So that's where I diverge. I also diverge on the ships. 100% wipe my ships. I only own 2, and I won a third one. And I'm with you guys on that first 30 days. TDL got me in this mindset. What do I want when we go live? Well, I want my Prospector, which I won from Tessa D. Love her. I want my Nomad, because that was my CX-8, updated to that, because it's a good little ship runner for small loads of quant.
I hate
so it
that
actually
ship.
works pretty well. I love
I
it,
just
man.
hate what
I
that
love
ship
my pickup truck.
represents.
I love the pickup truck. It's actually, it's very useful. I use it though and this is another point, sorry, before you cut me off, on hating the Nomad. Skipping past it though, and I own a Cuddy because it's a better one than the Nomad, right? So you're going to shit on the Nomad for that. And I agree with you. But on the early part of my grind, the Nomad's actually really useful when I have very small loads and I have no money. So I use it then. And then I switch to the Cuddy, right, for the bigger ones because you can hold 46 or 42 SCU. That's all I own. And then I grind everything else out. So my Warlock, my Arrow, my Gladius, my Constellation, right? So I grinded that out this time around. I grind all those out and I like that progression of it. So I'm happy for them to wipe my ships. I have no problem with it. And all the gear. I was surprised they didn't on this one with the inventory, but I suspect it is that link of having to wipe the ships that they didn't want to, and their goal was to get people in and playing. This is not an economic patch. That's the other one I disagree on. It's just another systems patch, right? It's just more of the systems coming online. So they don't really need to wipe because there is no economic, like, have you tried to sell anything? I was like, yeah, we can sell things. I have 540 fucking Pioneer missiles. I go to sell them one by one. Yeah, that's not happening until I can mass sell. And I was really surprised they just didn't reverse the UX for buying and have a tab there so that when I go into Pioneer missiles, I just go to sell,
we
and then I can go
quite
max.
Have the tech, it's like
they just didn't have the time, and it's not UX time, right? I hate it, but we're in that early DayZ development when they were still working on systems, and it sucked, and it's still gonna suck. And so I disagree on you guys on that side of it. I also disagree on the pay to win side of people who bought ships. Most of them, it makes really zero freaking difference because this is a skill-based game. And going back to that, I do find that kind of odd that Virgil's very on the side of skill-based, but then there seems to be a contradiction there on that people, who should then keep their ships, right? So, and that there should be a level and grind system a bit related to Tarkov.
Let me cut you
That's
off,
why I don't like the Tarkov.
Let me cut you
So
off.
that's the only reason, sorry. Not in the sense that he supports it, but that he uses Tarkov as an example because it has an RPG system attached to it. And I just don't really love that.
You're
relationship
missing the whole
I don't disagree with the wipe aspect though. So I am very pro wipe. Sorry.
You're missing the whole point. And you, I think, you're representing something that it's what disappoints me about the Star Citizen community very much. And I love you, Johnny, okay?
Oh, yeah. And we probably do disagree on this.
Yeah. Well, I just think you have a bad perspective because your perspective is your own and only your own. You go, I don't care if they wipe ships because I don't care.
Well, I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying I enjoy that aspect of the grind and progression of earning ships. So you are correct. I'm only representing that demographic slice that also enjoys that. They'd have to fall into that demographic slice.
Because I don't mind either. I don't mind having to start from zero and work into the ships that I want for that specific patch. That's fun to me. But I know that a big part of the community that earns the ships doesn't want to lose them, and it doesn't make sense to lose them. And now going into the skill-based
how do you know that? Sorry, but how do you know that data point? It's just
because it's said all the time. I've talked about wipes on this podcast.
But that's an echo
before.
chamber.
People freak out in the comments. How is it an echo chamber?
I don't know. I don't trust it. So the only thing I will represent is myself in these discussions. I do agree with that because I don't like representing others. And so that's why I fully agree. I'm just representing the slice of people that are like myself, who maybe came from DayZ, that are really good with a complete fresh wipe all the time. And even my paid ships, I'd be okay if they were a little gatekeep them to like kind of balance that issue of, hey, I bought all these ships, but maybe I have to do a few things to actually pull them out of the goddamn hangar before I get them. So I learned the game. Right. Like, and even if that progression is teach me how to play Star Citizen properly, because I fully agree with you guys and Virgil and everyone that most people are not good at this game. And you do not have to be super great at PvP to be successful in it. You just have to get organized with other people. And like the server meshing is the limitation. We've talked about this before and it comes up all the time. Hey, this would be a great idea if you did XYZ. Oh, wait, only 50 people on the server. It's not going to happen until we have bigger area, right? So, on wipes right now, I fully support them in the sense that I think it should be wiped. Definitely inventory all the time. Like almost every patch, I'd be fine with inventory. I'm okay with them keeping ships around. Like I don't really care at this stage because I do know eventually at launch they are going to wipe that. But so they do have to deal with that at some point, right? That is going to happen when we launch. I'm only going to have my 3 ships. So I'd rather be trained up throughout every patch to be in my mindset for building up because I'm really not going to buy anymore. I might buy one bigger one, maybe, but I am not going to buy anymore. I never have any plans to. I'll buy paints. I'll buy skins. I might buy the occasional armor type thing, right? Stuff like that. If it's real sexy and I like it. You are going to buy
more ships, but you're probably going to melt what you have now and swap it out for something that makes more sense later.
Well, maybe on that. Like I might upgrade the Nomad to something else, but I'm not really into that though, Mike. Like I'm
just saying that this is not the game. So you're basing everything off of what you know now, and this is again that part of the perspective that I want to kind of argue with you on a little bit, especially when you went at Virgil and myself on the contradictory aspects. Is we're looking at the bigger picture in a lot of ways. Of
contradiction using Escape from Tarkov as an example against
you're talking
Star Citizen. It doesn't work.
I'm talking about the skill-based and the pay-to-win argument.
That one. I disagree with you guys on that one.
So this is why
there's no pay-to-win in Star Citizen. Prove me wrong.
Okay. This is why I disagree. Again, just let me get through it
totally fair.
with you.
Go
okay,
for it.
Is we're looking at the bigger picture. There's no way that there's not going to be things to fight over in Star Citizen. We know that there's going to be property, and you have to defend it. And anything that gives you a leg up on anything could be argued as pay to win, right? So if we don't know what the end game is.
Could be argued.
Okay, it could be argued. Sure, we're doing it right now, but I'm just trying to give you our perspective and why it's not as contradictory as you're trying to say it is, because it's not. Is that there is a clear situation where this could happen. No matter what, we're both speculating what the end might look like and what progression is in Star Citizen and how advantageous it would be to have certain ships over another, right? So the idea, like I would just give the example of, should you be able to start out with a prospector? Maybe, maybe not. I think you and I both have that agreement of, I don't mind my ships being gatekeeped a little bit, and I have to earn some sort of reputation. But like Virgil's writing Aurora versus
the game
Javelin,
a bit,
right? Like I just say Aurora versus Prospector. So you have a tool that you can make money with, but not as well as a tool that you can make more money with. Or you have a tool that you can earn reputation with. Now you have a tool that you can earn more reputation with. And we don't know how much the value of that reputation has yet, but we know that it has some sort of value. So if you have a tool that can earn that value better, whether there are win conditions or not, and guess what? There are win conditions in Star Citizen. There is winning. Everybody's winning is different, though. And if there's a way for somebody to leapfrog me because I didn't whip out my credit card, I think that would be considered pay to win. And that's just it.
Okay,
the issue is we don't know what.
Can I respond to that? So the contradictory point I was trying to allude to more is with not wiping grinded ships. And that is from the side that I'm okay with that. And I think there's a large segment that would support that aspect of it, especially if the paid ones are gatekeeped in some way. They do need to deal with that problem that you just laid out. I don't disagree with that problem.
Okay.
However, I think that problem is mitigated by the skill aspect of the game. sure, you can just buy the best ship in the game, but if you still
yes.
suck, you still suck. You do. No, that literally is what happens right now, right? This is the main complaint of Space Dads, is that they are not well organized and they're not actually good at the game. So when the people that are good PvPers interact with them, I had a talk with Chaos Squad on this one, and we called it rewarding the risk. And like, why would these people even engage with a pirate? There's nothing to reward their risk taking of engaging. So they should just run away, right? Like, there's nothing in the game to say, hey, I know you lost in the interaction, but here's some sort of reward for being a good player and trying to build up, this interaction base. And you did it in the ways that we as a gaming company want you to promote the community, blah, 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 whatever. I forget where I was kind of going with that in relation to it, though. Sorry, I got derailed on my own thing. It's in the context of the people that are good at the game will always be better than the people that have a credit card. So if you grind and put the time in the game, you're going to be better at this game, regardless if the guy who has $10 million goes and buys every ship in the game. If he hasn't put the time in, like a lot of them are doing, Virgil's doing, you're doing, I'm doing, to build up our team. And the only reason why I would buy a big ship, Mike, is that I could feel that in a very effective and worthwhile manner on day one. And maybe I can. Right now, I feel I could feel the Connie crew, because we have a team of about 15, 20 that play real regularly together. And we do a lot of, team-based PvP, and we do these type of events and stuff like that. We have tank battles and, space battles and all this stuff. And we built up a game system around it. It's really fun, right? It's a way to engage. Like you said, we make our own fun. But on the wipe side, you always wipe everything. Let's not worry about the guys that have bought stuff to take away from how the game should progress. That CIG does have to solve it, though. And I'm not disagreeing with you guys on that. It is a potential problem, because when you marry up someone who's good and has a bankroll, then it becomes a real problem. But how much of the population of the game of Star Citizen actually falls into that? How many people are really good and have bought all the ships? So that's kind of my point. Wiping should be okay. Just keep wiping when you need to build the progression of the game. And let's start worrying about what live looks like. Like us as a community. I don't care about beta or even alpha or pre-alpha or whatever the hell we're in. But what is live going to look like? And I share that concern with you and Virgil on that one. I just find it a little contradictory in that we're willing to wipe some things and we want to focus on progression, but the people that are into progression, you're kind of saying don't wipe their stuff. But maybe they're not. Maybe the ones that aren't into that type of ship progression.
Because we're not talking about ship progression, because they killed ship progression the moment that they allowed people to buy them for the last 10 years, man. There's no such thing as ship progression.
They killed it for those people. They didn't kill it for me, though.
Okay, but again, like you're speaking for yourself, and that's
I'm
good.
Speaking for myself and the demographic that falls into me, yes.
Okay, yes, and the way you argued that, hey,
the number is.
I'm only comfortable speaking for myself. I think that that's totally fair. Okay, the issue here is that I'm speaking for myself as well, and I don't like the way it feels when I'm standing next to somebody who bought an 890 jump with a credit card with the same 890 jump that I earned. Okay, we've had this conversation.
I don't disagree with you on that. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I just don't know how to solve.
No,
I don't have a solve for CIG. And from my side,
the way they solve it is we stop talking about ship progression as actual progression, and we start talking about the things that me and Virgil were talking a lot more about, which was reputation and earning certain things that give you value back by playing the game, because you've already lost all ship progression. It's gone.
Well, I agree with you guys on that, though. Like, I do agree with you on that in that sense. I don't really care about it too much in the alpha one thing, but for live, I 100% want to see something in there that even if you've bought these ships, it doesn't necessarily mean you should be able to pull them on day one, right?
Like, I think you could pull them out. I don't care.
But then at the same time, it shouldn't be gated from you either, if you built the team to do it.
Yeah, the game now gets played through other means, and the ship is just the box that gets you there. And is it a pretty box? Does it have a lot of turrets? Is it the style that you like? It's all comes down to that thing that Star Citizen wants you to have choice. Okay, great. You've given me a bunch of choices. I can whip my credit card out, and Chris Roberts can live well for the rest of his life. Great. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, now the focus is on progression using those ships. And as long as we don't create a scenario where the credit card purchase significantly outweighs the effort that you put into in-game, then I think we're going to have a pretty good game.
Yeah, because it's a hard one to evaluate. The credit card purchase guy, if he's only able to put in 10 hours a month, but the grinder guy can put in, 100, how do you balance those two out? Like if the grinder guy surpasses the credit card, you don't. I agree. Totally agree. You don't even try to focus on it. No. And if they need to wipe, so going back and ending my point, if they need to wipe right now and I'm going to lose my ships, I would rather them wipe so that we have these fresh starts. And I do like that Tarkov fresh start. I just don't want to put them in an artificial level grind of any sort, similar to Tarkov, where, on the reputation side, absolutely, because then that lets me engage in the things I want to do. And then I build up my rep from there. And if they want to keep rep over, each wipe, I'm fine with that too. I like that because then I'm prepared. But at some point, live is coming and it's going to be a fresh start. And I'd like people to focus on that. What is live looking for us? Until then, do whatever CIG needs to do to move the goddamn thing along, because all I want is them to move the ball along. So don't try to stop things from worrying about me or if for or against. Just goddamn focus on the game development and do what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's my endpoint, really.
And the focus on the economy and the purpose for wipes for you are to figure out how live is going to feel and get that feel as good as possible, right?
And as us as community discuss and provide that feedback to CIG that we want to see on live, not necessarily on the next patch. We shouldn't focus on that. They got to do the work, right?
That's the hardest thing about being a Star Citizen now, Johnny.
Right. So goal.
It's so hard to look at live. What first, we don't know what live looks like, right? We have no idea. And second, it is very difficult to look that far ahead. Lots of people like you, I have this problem, and I try to explain this to people often, is, you can't make this change because of this, that, and XYZ. And XYZ is how it works now. But if you pay attention to the products very closely, sometimes they explain how it's going to work later. And that person may not have caught that, right? And that's fair. But it is so difficult to do what you're saying. And I would frankly say it's actually impossible to go right now. This is what the game is going to look like at the end. But if I take and piggyback off what you're saying and agree, and I want to agree with it greatly, is because I think I don't think wipes are that important right now because we can't visualize what live is going to look like. And that is, for me, the purpose of wipes. And the purpose of starting fresh is when you have a clear basis on a feature or a system that is absolutely going to be in wipes, i.e. looting, right? And that was the perfect point for a wipe for me. That was a major feature that isn't going to change significantly from the way it works now, right? The box that we open might be physicalized. The things that are in the containers might change, but that was a feature that was really, really big, and that is the reason for a wipe.
I was surprised they didn't wipe this time for that, because it seemed like a huge one for it. It makes a lot of sense.
Selling is a feature that is not going to change
significantly
significantly
and also
from
the problem
way it is
of
now.
I'm 190% over inventory in my home location. I can't take a helmet off there until I put a backpack on, right? I have so much crap that's got amalgamated from all the missile bugs. I play a lot too, so it just builds up, right? So I was surprised they didn't wipe on that one. And I get the inventory in the ship one, and they're worried about the churn. And they probably have the metrics to support it that when they wipe ships, people don't come back and play. Right. And that's fair. And I get it right now. They need people playing and stuff. So I don't really care when it comes down to it. I just feel in this scenario, we focus on the community as the goals that we want to see it live. So I would like to see some sort of mitigation of the credit card versus grinder. I don't know specifically what that's going to look like. It has to be fair to both parties. I think a lot of that's going to be around the skill, and that they funnel people through Quanta and their event system into their skill category, into at least surfacing content that's appropriate for their skill category. And then over time, those people that have all these big ships but suck potentially get better, and they build friends, and then they can field their Polaris, and they can field their Javelin with people that are fun to play with, and they have this really good experience. And then maybe at the end of that, they meet the Star Citizen boss Virgil at the end of it, because they're actually finally good enough to maybe take him on. That type of stuff where hopefully the rep of the individuals can be blended into this. Because I think Virgil has some really good content and feedback to this game at times. I just worry about sometimes relating it to, and this is my feedback on it, relating it to a game that's not necessarily a good template for Star Citizen. I don't think Tarkov is. So that was mine. I think DayZ is a better one, but that's my bias.
I agree with that bias. That's kind of my argument here, is that people often mention Tarkov when they come to Star Citizen because it has a similar feel at times. But I think if you're gonna look at a game, I think honestly, DayZ sometimes is closer. The problem with DayZ is there's always a wipe. Character progression is a totally different beast than Star Citizen would be.
Dead too, right? It's old
I think,
and it's. Yeah.
I think Tarkov is closer in that sense for character progression, reputation earning with mission givers. There's mission givers in the game. I think there's just way too many comparisons that you can make.
But I
Tarkov.
think on DayZ has more of the comparison on the interaction style and the skill level and the like that 100% is the same.
If there was a hybrid between the two games, it would be called Star Citizen. If it was in space.
That's a good ending point.
Yeah.
That's a good ending point, Mike. And I don't want to think, Virgil, you guys are shitting on you guys either, because I actually really like Virgil. I like his content. I like, that Shadow Moses has kind of taken this position as being almost like the Vince McMahon, that end boss of Star Citizen. I think they should keep going with it, man. Like, it's great. And I love everyone that puts the time in now. And the payoff, I think, for us is that on day one, we will have the teams and skill sets to excel at the verse right away. And people are going to lose their mind on us because they're going to be brand new to the game. Like, you just wait till that live argument on Spectrum blows up. It's going to be nothing. We're going to miss these days. Anyway, I love you, Mikey.
All right, John. All right, buddy. Be good.
Good, buddy.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so I just think, I don't think he was shitting on us or anything. I just thought that there was like a misunderstanding at some point with what we were trying to say, and I was trying to clear it up, that's all. And I think we eventually got there, but thank you, of course, Johnny, as always. So our next caller, who's been becoming more regular as well, like a Virgil and like a Johnny, is Jab Loca. Jab, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Awesome. Let me fix everything here because I wasn't as ready as I should be. I didn't think it was ending as quickly as it did there. But so you've heard the first two callers. What do you think? Wipes, the economy, Star Citizen, do we need them? How often do we need them? What do they look like?
I think we need them once a year. Like, I think every year we have had enough patches to warrant a full wipe.
Okay.
And with that, I also mean, this is a difficult one because a lot of the community does like it to keep their ships, but CIG also needs a way to see how fast people progress in the game, or at least how fast it takes to earn, say, an 890 jump.
I agree. I argue, do we need to know that information now?
Yeah, because you can balance the stuff at the moment through how it is currently, but how it is currently, it's not how it is going to be in the future. I'm contradicting myself. It doesn't make sense in one way, but it also makes sense in one way because you can have the data set for now.
Okay, but let me ask you this question about the data set for now. Why are you collecting the data for now if the only effect that you earning, I don't know, let's use combat ships or even the biggest 890 jump for an example, is what is that data providing to you? What is the point of progression in a game that has none in a lot of ways, right? So I don't see the point of taking the tools of fun away from players where the only gameplay that is had is the players making it themselves in a lot of ways, and you're taking the tools away from those players now for gathering data that has no purpose. So that's just how I see it. Maybe you see it in a different way, and feel free to respond. I just don't understand what that data does for us now, from the point of we know this is not how Star Citizen is going to look like soon, post-server meshing, more players in a server. Economy.
I think after server meshing, they need to look at it, because then we can have a good data set, like how many people are in an area, how many people are in, say, a server, say, around Stanton.
I mean, Jab, we can go so far as how many people are mining the materials to create those ships, and the cost of them, and all that stuff, right?
And how's Quanta influencing
how many
that?
How many Quanta they need to influence it, right? There's so many things there. So I guess I should have shortened my question to you and posed, what does now mean? When is now? Because now is now.
I think we need to talk about now, because we don't know what the future is going to bring. CIG doesn't know what the future is going to bring.
Yeah.
Because
but you can also
we haven't played the game yet.
You can pose now as the current patch and the ones that we're aware of what's going to be in them. Is that fair?
Yeah, currently we don't need it, because it's not going to change anything. And I think they kept all the inventory, the items in, so we could just sell them all and see how much money people make if they grind a full patch, for example, or 2 patches.
A good point.
And I think we need to look at it as progress. Like, ships are still progress, but in how long does it take to fully upgrade a ship from components with level D to A components, for example? Yeah. How long does that take? How long does it take to earn weapons for that ship? And we also need all the components in a ship, like better flight systems, avionics, and that kind of stuff. We don't have that yet. And that will come later with physicalized components and stuff. But at the moment, we don't need anything, because nothing really matters. Mm-hmm. I think 380 needs to wipe, because this is the first big physicalized cargo change. And if we can place all those items in big boxes and stuff, it might mess up the servers, the backend. We don't know, but we shall see. But I think 380 needs to wipe. It's a big monumental change, physicalized cargo.
Is it an economic change? Is it a... See, I don't know if I need a wipe there. Because what is wiping my inventory going to do? Like, I don't keep commodities in my inventory. Well, here's how I see it: is the next wipe matters.
We don't know if the cargo effect is going to bring some economy change. We don't know. That's the issue.
Correct. But like when you speak about the cargo refactor, period, it's just physicalizing cargo. It's as far as we know, that's the information we have, right? Yeah. So the next wipe for me is when commodities start affecting everything. So I've mined Quantanium and I've brought it to a station that makes fuel and sells fuel. The price changes. I've mined Titanium and I've brought it to a city that creates components or spaceships, and the price has changed, right? That's when I think I see a wipe economically being valuable. Inventory-wise, I'm still trying to figure out when and why we need a wipe. And the when for me, I think Virgil hits home the most, is when they want to start focusing on what the experience is like on that first 30 days. When does that start for you?
Not necessarily. I mean, inventory can mean something when the items in the inventory matter.
Okay, so...
At the moment, one heavy armor is not better than the other heavy armor.
Correct.
It's just a color change, or a change of
It's
asset.
a visual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a visual change. And I think once they decide, okay, Hurston armor gives extra resistance against acid rain or an acidic atmosphere because Hurston fucked up their planet.
Yeah.
Then we might see a change in that. But or maybe we need to wipe in that. But at the moment we don't need it because armor doesn't matter. Anything doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think also, what someone in chat is saying, database changes, like backend changes.
I believe that was the reason for the 315 wipe, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And 318 is probably also going to bring some backend changes through
persistence, whenever that
persistence, whenever that is. Also, the cargo refactor stuff also is probably going to bring system changes. But yeah, I think wipes are needed once a year because most monumental stuff has changed by then, and people had enough time to grind for ships, and it doesn't really take a lot of time to grind ships. So
you're
also
full.
Ships.
Yeah, so you want ships to be part of the wipe.
Yes, once a year. I think that should give people enough time to grind and experience the game. And yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. I don't agree with it entirely, but it's still fair. Your opinion's yours. I'm still so iffy about ships until
I know what you mean because
until
people
they want to
work hard for it.
Well, it just comes down to I don't understand. I don't know where we gather information on the speed. I don't know if we want to gather information on the speed in which people earn them yet until we also want to gather the information on the speed it takes to, I don't know, reclaim one, repair one, things like that. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, let's wipe,
Maybe I thought about this completely wrongly. Maybe the wipe needs to come when ship change. The ships are different enough.
Okay,
when we have
the
armor in, when we have physicalized components in, when we have other systems in the ship. Maybe then we need a complete ship wipe to see what the progression is in that.
Okay, let me ask you something. I think this is we'll get to where, because people are a little confused by you, I'm noticing. What does a 1 year wipe provide for you? Why? Give me the reason why you feel
grind again.
A reason to grind
because
again.
When I've earned all the ships, okay, well, now what? And same goes with Tarkov or DayZ or any major game. Eventually there's a wipe because you've earned everything there that needs to be earned. And that's the major problem with Star Citizen at the moment. There is no money sinks except for ships and components. There's nothing else.
I would argue that there is nothing to earn. I mean, there's one real reputation chain, and the only thing that it earns is earning you a little bit more money. And I think you and I are getting to the same place. Is like you said, there's no money sinks. I think, and I think in a way you're contradicting yourself a tiny bit, because you said like once a year is good because by then enough major things would have happened. I don't think that's happened to date yet, but I hope you're right from this year forward. Is that enough major changes would have happened where it would warrant something like that, where the experience would have changed so drastically that there is value in wiping for a player to go through that experience again. But if I went through the experience in 2019, I would have a very similar experience to earning ships in 2020 to earning ships in 2021. And now we're starting to see that there's differing levels and cool different ways to make money. Bunkers are providing lots of money. There's mining, there's bounties, there's player bounties, right? And we're starting to get there. Cargo refactors coming. How's that going to affect things? So I hope you're right going forward. But to this point today, I have a hard time agreeing that once a year is going to be okay. But I really hope you're right.
Yeah, and I think also the part of the problem is that we only have most people only have one account with one character slot. And most MMOs have one account with multiple character slots. And mostly people have one character that is max level, has done everything, has earned everything, blah, blah, blah. And then they go grind with the second character if they get bored or want to approach the game in a different way. Say you grinded all the bounty hunter stuff and you earned everything related to bounty hunting. And you want a mining character, an industrial character, or a trading character, and you do everything with that. So you don't lose progression, but you can start at 0.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the solution, but I don't think we're going to get multiple character slots anytime soon or ever at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we kind of need them. They had mentioned it before. It depends on how many packages you have on your some stuff. That I don't know, but the whole thing is like reputation is the biggest factor that this game, for me personally,
it might save it.
It's the only thing that could save it. Because I don't think anything can save it right now with what we currently have, and I think reputation is the key to Star Citizen's future. And what little we know about it is that if you earn reputation in one aspect, you might lose reputation very soon with, like, using bounties, for example. If you do bounties, you might lose reputation with the Ninetales, right? Well, what if I wanted to see what it's like to gain reputation with the Ninetales? I need to use another character. And, and that's good.
It's good, but
new experiences.
That's exactly, and that's why I think, thinking about it, I played World of Warcraft for like a lot of years.
Okay.
And if you want to experience a different type of gameplay, I think multiple character slots is the greatest solution to that. You don't have to worry about that one character. You can start from 0 and have fun with that character without thinking about the other or negative effects.
But in the current Star Citizen experience, you only need one.
You only need one.
Because you can do everything.
There's not enough to do, even with one character.
It's true. Yeah, so I don't know. I think we're somewhere in there. I think it's just I think it's an interesting conversation because we don't know a lot of what's going on, and I think people do fall on different sides of the fence. Like, hey, take my ships, I don't care. Absolutely don't take my ships, I won't ever play again. All sorts of things. I got news for the people who say don't take my ships. It has to happen at some point, okay?
It's gonna happen, and I think it's gonna happen when Pyro hits. 4.0 is gonna wipe everything.
Yeah, but it has to. There's no. At some point, they do need to gather the information of how long it takes for you to earn that ship when we're closer to what a more final economy would look like. It has to happen.
It might wipe reputation as well at 4.0. Like, they want to... But it doesn't matter. 4.0 is...
They have to wipe the rep at some point as well. They have to.
Yeah.
It's just something they have to learn about, hey, we added all these new ships. We added all these new armors and weapons and things. How did it affect
missions?
How everything...
Factions.
Yeah, how did it affect missions? How did it affect this mission giver? Whatever, right? They have to... There's so many things that are coming that eventually they will have to see how it affects the player's experience.
Yeah.
And the day one experience. Do you really want the day one experience of Star Citizen to just be terrible and have the Shadow Moseses of the world just roll up and destroy everybody, or Test Squadron to just come around with a million Idrises and just be able to do everything and who knows, maybe lock you out of being able to do something? No.
And I think Pyro is gonna be a day one for a lot of people because it's gonna bring some attention. Like, oh, Star Citizen has 2 systems now.
Absolutely.
Bigger servers, etc.
Yep.
And starting from 0 for a lot of people then, and everybody has everything at the moment. But everybody has everything through credit cards anyway. But still, might level the playing field a little. But yeah.
I hope so. I really do.
I hope so, but I don't think so. That's ship has sailed.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I argue not wiping the ships. I think it does level the playing field for the time being.
Yeah, indeed. It does. Like, you don't know if somebody bought the A19 jump or has grinded for it at the moment, and that's a good thing. it doesn't affect gameplay whatsoever anyway. But
No.
it's still nice for people to be able to fly around it for quite some time and show it to people, etc.
Yeah. The classic whale content. Oh, you're new to the game? Come, let me show you my ship. And then the new player goes, wow, it's so big.
Or the new streamer.
It's the only time they've ever heard that.
Yeah, exactly. Always, every time a new like semi-big streamer or a big streamer comes, and there's an button, and a reclaimer, and there's the character. Yeah. And what can you do in it? Well, in the future you can do this and that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, Jab. It sounds like you don't have anything more to add. I don't want to cut you off without giving you the opportunity. Is there anything else you wanted to add to this, or anything that came to mind?
No, that's it. And yeah, I think that's my opinion. Once a year.
Once a year. When? How about this? We'll head off with this one. When will you do the next one? Because the last one was in 3.15.
If Pyro, I want to say Pyro end of the year, but no, I'm not going to be disappointed again.
Yeah.
So when Pyro hits, I think Pyro is a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, that's a good spot to end it then. Thank you, Jab.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, and our final caller of the day is Joe Marr. Joe, can you hear me? Oh, never mind. We have another one who just popped in. So, Joe, you won't be the final one, but welcome.
Hey, Mike, I can hear you.
Awesome. So what are your thoughts on all this?
I thought it's been a fun conversation so far. When it comes to wipes, man, I don't think there should be any except for backend changes.
Define backend changes.
Like whenever they really need to, as a for development, they need to wipe.
They have no choice.
Like implementing a new feature, yeah, no choice.
What about gathering information on the economy? I think that's a valid reason. No.
I do. I do think. I mean, I've played it quite a bit of 3.17 so far, and loot is really common. Like it's going to be quite easy to get stacked.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid. I think I think it's really bad.
Yeah, like you can hit up, a bunker and then a garage post, like a mining outpost, and be pretty set.
Yeah.
With weapons and clothes and food and stuff. But I think wipes should be rare. And I also think that having the good ship isn't necessarily a pay to win. Like I do think it's all about who's flying the ship or who's putting together the strategy. So I just love. I mean, I've been playing for about 2 years, and I think a good way to look at what Star Citizen has done so far is they've got their physics sandbox, but just recently, like in the past couple of months, they finally got the character with their health system. Then the fact that they can pick up and store items on them and in the verse, and then you've got the ship with their health system with salvaging and their pick up and store items with the inventory or the cargo rework. But they're almost done with kind of that dream, which I think is super exciting.
Yeah,
how well they've done over the past couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, this last, I would say, 12 months, 9 months. It's been really exciting, I think, to be around Star Citizen because it feels like things are happening, man. It's exciting time.
It does. I like to think of it. I kind of relate it to some of my favorite games are the games with the emergent gameplay, which sounds generic, but for example, I think what makes Minecraft great is the fact that it's written in a language and done in a way to where it's almost like all emergent gameplay. Like there's just a given set of rules, and then it's up to us players to develop strategy around those rules and to take advantage of the consistent mechanics. To have fun with the game. And I think Star Citizen kind of hits that same note in that they're trying to be a relatively real universe with mechanics that we can all take advantage of and follow and, do the things we do. Of which my favorite is player bounty hunting and player pirating. And I love the whole playing the part and playing the good guy and trying to have the conversations in the verse rather than going for the insta kills and stuff. I like playing the slow game for the emergent interactions.
Yeah. One of my favorite games is this game called Eco, which is it's very much like Minecraft, but the rules are more geared towards certain things. But it gives you the tools to kind of create your own experience and have that be fun. I think Star Citizen will have those aspects, man, but I also don't think that that's the only aspects. Like, that might be what makes Star Citizen great for you, but you don't, like, do you not see the things they're doing with Reputation, and that it seems like things are going to be heavily weighted towards it?
I do like the things they're doing with Reputation. I think it's solid to have special mission givers or groups that you build rep for, and that cuts you off from maybe other mission givers and rep. And then they start incorporating armistice zones and protection and instant fire upon aggression all to rep. I think that's huge.
Yeah,
I do. I think one thing I wrote down. I think so. I mean, 317 obviously only a couple days. But yesterday I was playing. Man, I crashed into a planet like 6 kilometers from an outpost, retraced my steps, and still found my body there, which definitely would have never happened in 316.
correct. It would have been underground.
Yeah, they've somehow fixed. I think they fixed the persistent bodies hanging around, and even the box that dropped out of my ship at the time. Which, by the way, I'm a Nomad fan. I don't know why it ate on it, but I think it's an awesome ship.
I hate what it represents. So it represents a change with CIG marketing, where CIG created a ship specifically to market as a premium starter ship, and it basically solidified ships as progression being completely dead. You don't, like any Chris Roberts game I played before, especially the Privateer games, which were as close to Star Citizen as possible, Freelancer, all those, you had some choice in what you would start with, but that wasn't the go-to. You work towards something else. That died with that ship. It's just what it represents. It's a cool ship, great interior. Love the pickup truck kind of aspect. It's cool, but it's not the ship that I hate. It's what it represents.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally sitting in it on Microtech right now.
Nice.
While I was waiting along. But yeah, wipes I think should be few and far between. Hopefully, only back end changes. I think that they're really close to being done with their physics engine vision. I also wanted to say, when I hear them say they're focusing on Squadron 42, what I interpret that as is like, look, we've got a list of mechanics that we must have to support the game, and we've made, back in the day they promised the Squadron 42, so it's like they've got to get it done, but it also points them towards getting the right physics and the right mechanics in for the PU.
Not only that, but it gets them not in a. This is what they're saying. We haven't seen this happen yet. I'm very much looking forward to the next few months and see what happens if they do deliver anything into the PU. The things that they sent people over to work on for Squadron, the idea is when it comes back to the PU and comes back to us, it's not going to be in a tier 0 garbage state. So if inventory was done in the way that they were sending it to Squadron first, we likely would have had inventory in a state that it's in today or even better.
Yeah.
When we did get it, we're just going to get it not in 315. We would get it in like 320.
Yeah.
So
and then you can see that example with the med gameplay. Like they did that last patch, but just now bodies are sticking around and you still don't even get paid for reviving somebody.
Yeah.
And then also I like to say this about inventory too is to bring in Minecraft again, they have that philosophy one block at a time. And I think Star Citizen is almost going for that type of thing, because I picture a future where even each item you're interacting with is almost one block at a time. Obviously, right now, it kind of sucks to use the inventory because of the non-stackables, and then even selling stuff in the shops now, you have to do one at a time and reapply filters. But in the future, I picture you'd have to go into your hangar's closet and grab a box and grab the thing from the shelf, and I think that they're wanting to go with that physicalized route. So it kind of stretches the meaning of gameplay. You could spend a day out in the forest hunting, the cool deer for the display in your Banu, or you're going to spend, an hour in your hangar organizing your armor, cleaning your guns, which I really like about the game is how they delve into each little, like every minute you could be doing is gameplay. There's no wasted time, or they don't try to skip over anything like, selling 30 things at once and, in 5 seconds. I think they kind of intend for that the deliberateness that one block at a time or one item at a time brings.
When do you think wipes should come into the game? I know you're not big on them, but I think you obviously have to see that there is a point where they have to do it, not just for back end reasons, but for information gathering reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So if I had to give an answer, I think that I hope they can wipe ships and items separately.
They want to. That's their plan. I don't know if they can yet, which is maybe why we did not get one this time around, is what we're speculating.
Because I'm with you. I think it would suck to take away ships from players, every year. I think is even too frequently. Like years fly by.
Mm-hmm.
But items and the looted armor and stuff, like, you're either going to keep that, you're going to lose it in the world, or you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
So I don't really mind them, and maybe they do something crazy where it's like, oh, we'll pay you, 25% for all the stuff you have. It's not really a wipe as much as it's like them coming in and taking things out of your house type of thing.
Okay.
But, who knows?
Yeah.
I play for the. I obviously run all the missions, and I have a great rep in a couple systems, Microtech being my favorite. But I play for the slow play, just killing time, and then not eventually, I do it all the time. The player interactions and like just going out there hunting somebody or doing the med beacon and just playing the part and talking through the VoIP system and helping new players, being the guy, hunting down the station campers, like that type of stuff. I love so.
Okay, cool. Well, Joe, it sounds like this is an ending point. Is there anything you want to add to?
Let me look. I'll add. I like Virgil's point on focusing on the first 30 days and how Tarkov has kind of hit that, found that sweet spot.
Yeah.
So
but Tarkov's goal is to be a never ending.
Of course, yeah, but they're really refining that. I would even argue first 90 days. Like it's not. I think 30 is too short. Like a lot of players don't even. I certainly knew I didn't know what was going on in this game after just 30 days. It took me a bit longer. So
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. That's it.
Okay, bro. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. Yeah. Is this your first time calling in?
This is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've watched your stuff for a while.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Well, I really appreciate you coming on for the first time. It was a nice call. And like I say to every first-time caller, I hope it's not the last, man. That was fun. Yeah, man. It's a little early for me Sunday mornings, but I wanted to do it this time. So, are you East Coast or Central? You kind of sound maybe Central. I'm Central. Yeah. Central. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. All right, bro. Well, all right. Thanks, Mike. Be good. Thank you. Bye-bye. You too. Bye. Bye. Lock Os is officially our last now. So, Lock, hello. How are you? Is my mic working this time? It is working, yeah. I think it's a little low, but I can bring it up, so don't worry about that. Okay, that's good. I have to say, going off with everyone with the wipes, I definitely think wipes should definitely be, if they can, try to keep it to technical wipes at the moment. Great. I think when it comes to information gathering, I think that's all fine and good, but it won't give us anything useful, I think, until we get Quanta, which at least thankfully we started to get in. Starting to. Right. So hopefully it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now that they have the bones in, over the next couple of patches, maybe the next patch they do Quanta for ammunition and Quanta for maybe like food or drink or something. Yeah, for sure. And I can tell you're on push to talk, so I'm definitely just going to jump in between. Because I could tell you're using headphones, so that's fine. Don't worry about that. The thing that I'm with you on that big time is technical, like where you have to do it for now, and then gameplay wipes to improve the experience or to gather information on how the experience would be. when that's necessary. I just don't see that being necessary right this second yet. So you might as well just allow people to enjoy the immersive experiences of Star Citizen and do what they do for now.
Right, and the thing is, actually, the thing also about wipes is that we actually do have a couple of ships at least that people can long-term grind towards. So at least there's some things people can grind towards.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like, I think where they're going now is that's the next steps of things, is like creating reasons for you to play the game. It's just, the only thing that we've gotten from Reputation so far, the only thing that we've seen of the future of it is icons for different job types or career types, but no real solid concrete information on like when they plan on actually diving into a few of those things, and when we're going to start seeing like mission-based rewards or Reputation start dictating a lot more stuff. I think the next step is more long-term Reputation, which I don't know if we know what patch that's coming into yet, but I think that's when we start seeing a lot more arguments for future wipes and more of like Tarkov type experiences in that way.
Yeah, I think it might even be a cool idea. I don't know how difficult it will be to implement this. Like, wipe the servers, like to do a restart, but maybe they say, like, okay, we're going to wipe everything, but we'll allow you to keep one item of your choosing.
Oh, that'd be wild.
Yeah, like this basically saying, like, okay, this is like you spent a whole lot of time. You can at least keep one item, but we're getting rid of everything else to at least give people something to go on with.
Yeah, for sure. Also, somebody's making a comment in chat. Quanta is actually called Quantum. Excuse me. You know what? It's not my fault that they made a completely horrible naming thing. Quanta are the things that are go around the world and dictate the economy. That's what matters to me, is when those things are going around and doing their thing, Quanta is what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the actual little guys, not the system, but the little guys are part of the system. Can you tell how stupid and confusing and dumb this is? So let's just refer to Quanta as the economy. How about that?
Yeah, whenever the new economy comes in, that's definitely going to be a big thing. Although something they did in 3.17 that's related to the economy, I think, is an interesting change, is how they got rid of how you basically have to only loot certain weapons and guns and stuff like that. I think that's a good change overall, but I still kind of feel it's some of the things are a little bit weird. Like it seems like some of the more weapons that you should be able to find, like in a store, are still considered locked behind loot containers. So I think a good way to handle it is maybe only have either like one location in the universe where you can find them, or maybe once more Reputation comes in, you have to be a certain rep in order to be allowed to buy weapons.
Yeah, I mean that's where I think things need to go, is like in at least in the US, you can obviously have access to a lot of weapons, but in other countries maybe not. And I think that just the very basics, I think you can even start going way deeper as far as the weapon isn't as important, but the ammunition is, and certain like components that you would add to the weapon. If, again, like always referring to Escape from Tarkov, you know, finding those things in raid or earning those things as far as the reputation with a certain mission giver, like that kind of thing can tie into the game and make it way more interesting. And that is when wipes get kind of cool, I think, is when a lot of the items in the game start to matter, and they don't matter just from a monetary value, but they matter for a changing the experience of the player value. I think wipes start to either become something that people don't want at all, or that they really enjoy, because going through that progression and finding those valuable items in the game that enhance their experience or whatever, going through Reputation and enhancing their experience was a joy.
Definitely, and I think like you bring up a good point at the ammunition. That was something I was going to bring up myself. Is that it seems a little, and I know in the future they basically want to go to like your magazine is separate from the ammo type. You can just buy like a box of like 9mm ammunition for certain guns, and then you fill up the mags from that. So I think like it'd be interesting if like the majority of the base ammunition was available, but only you have to like find the mags for them because they're like a specialty mag or something. Or another thing that I find entirely weird is that like everywhere in the universe sells like railgun and like rocket launcher ammunition. It's like you guys don't sell the weapon, like you shouldn't really sell like that kind of specialty missile or railgun ammunition.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, it'd be also cool. Like I know in the lore, Gemini ballistic, the Gemini brand of weapons is actually based in ArcCorp. So it would be nice if they do when they do the second 2.0 pass of ArcCorp, if they added like a corporate flagship store in ArcCorp that just sold Gemini weapons, and like, that's the only place in game that you can get like the higher end Gemini weapons.
Hey, Hurston does that, you know.
Yeah, and like it's weird. Like another thing about the economy about is like weird. Like Hurston, like what's the point of going to Hurston? Because they don't sell any other than their own ship weapons. They don't sell any FPS gear. They sell some mining gear, but like giving more like going through all these locations and giving them a second pass of like, okay, what can we make? What can we add to this location that gives it more viability to go to and shopping?
Yeah, I think they're gonna get there, but I think that the game. It's hard to just focus on like one thing. Like, hey, they need to make cities more interesting. Well, the way they make cities more interesting is like creating an economy and doing, bunker, all these things that they have to do to make them more interesting are the things that they're actively working on now. It's just, we got to wait a little while and then we'll get that second pass on those things. Like, I feel like you should go to a city or the immediate areas around it and feel like you don't want to leave for hours, days, a week. You go there, you do all the things that you could do. You hear, like, I don't know, even going back to a game like Mass Effect is going to, oh my God, what, I can't believe this is like my favorite game series of all time. The Presidium and all those places, I can't remember the name of the main location. The Citadel. Thank you, chat. So, like, you would go to the Citadel and you would walk around and hear the stories, and then you would get another mission chain from somebody else, like a side quest, right? That is where I see cities going. And so, like, when you say, I don't feel the reason to go to a Hurston, I think we'll get that.
Yeah, and I definitely think, like, with certain cities like Hurston and Microtech, because they're ground-based and there's other things that you can drive to, and that would give... like, have missions nearby the city, and not only that, give you a reason to use ground vehicles and stuff like that. So I think there's ways, and they are slowly improving those sections of the game, which is good. And like with physical cargo, which I'm excited for coming in next patch, I'm quite sure there's going to be more in-depth cargo mechanics and gameplay and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Something else that just popped into mind was, actually, speaking of the cities and the economy and stuff, they definitely need to give cities things that you can buy for trading. So, like, you sell the cities the raw materials, and then they produce stuff, and then you send those produced goods out back into the field. So it fully closes the trading loop.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that starts with the physicalized cargo, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yep. Other than that, let's see here. Other things about the economy. Again, I think going to Pyro is going to be interesting for the economy. That's I know that's way further out. Because that'll add because then those they out there won't have access to like manufactured goods as much. So we might be going back to Stanton and Pyro delivering those finished goods. Actually, another thing that just also popped into mind was for long-term progression, something that they can probably give us is player habs that we can buy.
That's not even a probably. That is a thing.
Yeah, I think it needs to definitely happen. Not relatively soon. I mean, it doesn't have to happen like this year soon, but it definitely, I think, could be something like once they get their private hangars up and running, something that they can definitely get to, because that'd be a nice way to sink money into the game.
Yeah,
and also with the fact that now we have physicalized storage and all that stuff, have maybe a bigger house means you have more access to more storage.
Yeah, just more wall space to show off the stuff that you've earned while going out on your adventures, of course. I mean, this is like the standard, like if they don't do this, it'd be crazy, you know?
Oh, definitely. I think they are going to. It's just a matter of time and just
And then I agree with Twitch chat. is that if you do not pay your rent at your apartment, that there needs to be Storage Wars gameplay where we can bid on people's apartments and get all their stuff, right?
That actually would not be a bad idea. Although I do think for the sanity of gameplay, I hope they at least allow you to like pay like, hey, here's my year's rent in advance.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just kidding around, but at the same time, how that would be pretty wild. One of the, for me, my favorite MMO, the game that I grew up playing that drives all of my inspiration for what I hope Star Citizen would be, is Ultima Online. If you didn't pay your credit card, like, because it was a subscription fee, if you didn't pay, your house would start to decay. And it would decay over I think like a 2-week period. I think it was a 14-day period. And you would see the different stages. And it would drop. So the house would just eventually disappear, and every item inside of it would just drop on the ground. But not only that, but the real estate that you owned would now become available for somebody else to place a house. And it would become this ridiculous event where this, like, everybody would be hanging around this house because you can kind of see inside the windows and stuff, and like, oh my God, there's items in there that I really want. And you would just wait for it to drop, and everybody would, if it was in a place where there was PvP, there would be insane fights. If there wasn't, it would just be like everyone would be sitting there trying to grab stuff. It was crazy.
So on a similar note, I actually had an idea while I was listening to other people talk about their ideas, especially with the piracy gameplay coming in and physicalized cargo. You have all these little outposts around the Stanton system that are corporate owned. They're basically just trading outposts. So you get your pirate org, you descend down, you go in there, and you basically hold them up. You force them to like open up their cargo bay and like you or wherever they're storing their physicalized trade goods. You go in there, you loot, you start pulling all that stuff out. You go in there, you start like looting everything in there, and then basically you're in a race to like either get the stuff out or fight off the security as they arrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it all seems fun. I think we're just like talking about gameplay now, and we're not really talking about the actual topic anymore, though.
Yeah, well, it's weird because like I think for the economy, we definitely need some more gameplay things to come in.
Yeah, of course. You don't just need gameplay things. You just need, like just general like the foundations of the game don't even exist to make the gameplay. Like,
yeah, but I think
persistence isn't even a thing. Like, how are we even talking about a lot of things when persistence isn't a thing in a lot of ways? Just stuff just disappears.
Oh yeah, not even persistence, but also I know this sounds like a minor thing, but like bed logging in on ships. Like if you don't, like it's a hit or miss thing, and like I just bed logged out of my prospector yesterday,
yeah,
and I logged back in like a couple hours later, and like all my armor was missing.
Oh really? Okay.
So yeah, I think there's definitely some things that need to be done, but economy wise, pretty much yeah. I'm just at this point like we need to wait for Quanta. I think Quanta is going to do a whole lot. They could definitely use more trade goods because it seems like I know this sounds weird, but I noticed with mining there are some things that you can mine that you cannot go to a trade outpost and buy.
Like,
I know copper. Copper is one. I think there's a couple of like the I think Agricium maybe. I don't know. I don't think of Agricium, but there's a Tannerite. That's another one.
Oh, Terranite. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
But yeah, I thought definitely copper and Terranite are the two that I know off the top of my head that I encounter at least a decent bit that you can only mine.
Gotcha. Yeah. True. I didn't think of Terranite, Bexelite. There's actually a few. Boraz. So you could sell, but you can't buy.
Right. You have to mine it, refine it, and then you can sell it as a trade good. So that'd be cool to like get those in, and also get like those infamous crafting recipes from Quanta. That'd be nice to like see, like, because I think the biggest thing with the economy right now is that prices like for a lot of things seem like they don't really fluctuate a whole lot.
Yeah, they don't. And there's no reasoning behind the fluctuations, really.
Yeah, like all I know is that generally speaking, the only time I get like overpriced and underpriced stock reports is on either like food or distilled spirits. So I think pretty much it's just the fact that no one's trading in food and beer.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Locke, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but I think we are straying a bit. So I would say, what are your final thoughts about wipes in SC? When would you see the next wipe? That's what I would ask.
Yeah, that's fair. I would definitely say I would see the next wipe basically when Quantum comes in as a full-fledged Quantum. I think that'd be a good place for another wipe.
Yeah, just most likely for a back end reason, right? And like just because they would have to, but even then it would make sense from our standpoint to see how the game plays. Like that's the one thing that a lot of people haven't really mentioned is like it's kind of cool from our perspective too to be like, wow, the gameplay's so different from the last time that I started from scratch, you know?
Oh, definitely.
There's value there too, and I don't think anybody's mentioned that either. It just kind of popped in my head right now, like, you know, there's some value to that for us also, just to see how much stuff has changed.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that, but again, like I don't think wipes should be a one question. They should be a right now at the very least. What if is it? Do we need to wipe and
how?
And how?
Yeah, how it looks. You know, do we wipe ships? Do we not? Do we wipe your UEC? Nobody even mentioned that. Do we not? Right? What does it look like? But all right, Locke, I think that's a good place to end it for today. Thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, the push to talk system with you and I will work just fine. Just remind me so I don't talk over you or anything.
I was just trying it out this time. I'm going to probably switch back to my regular thing next time.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, just keep me posted, all right?
Okay.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, we do have one more caller. I think people from my Twitch channel will be very familiar with this, formerly known as Master Boring. Let's see what he has to say on the subject. Master Boring, hello.
Yo. So, let me understand your position. Why do you want wipe?
I don't.
Because you have to understand, wipe is an absolutely nuclear option when it comes to game development.
Wait,
you don't just wipe
hold
for
on.
the
You're actually seriously calling. Okay, I thought you were just coming here to meme. I'll set up and like put your name on there and everything. Okay, my bad.
No. Just I don't want to make this. I want to make it quick. All right.
I thought you came to meme on the person that shit on Minecraft. I thought that's where we were going here in the chat.
Oh, I can talk about Minecraft all the time. It's an engineering fest.
I know. Hold on. We'll switch back. Okay, Paul Killer, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so I forgot the topic.
Wipes. And you asked me why do I want them, and you said they're the nuclear option.
Yeah, they are usually a nuclear option. You don't usually do wipe unless you absolutely have to. Like you have to change the structure of the database. Like last time they introduced the new inventory system. That's definitely a huge change for the back end. And that absolutely require wipe for sure. But when people talking about introduction of quanta, I don't think that warranty a wipe.
You don't think it'll have a major backend change?
It will absolutely have a huge backend change. But one thing that is very valuable is to see what will happen when you introduce a new dynamics system into an already existing system. You want to see the evolution of the data. You don't just wipe it. Otherwise, what would you do if in the far future after the game release that you want to introduce a new feature in the content? So that evolution is something very valuable. You want to learn what will happen when you introduce a new system into an already existing plan of data set. And then you learn from the mistake you made, and you ensure that in the future, when you introduce a new system, you don't need to absolutely wipe everything out of existence. You just have to make sure you follow some of the guidelines that you learn from your mistake in the previous experience. So that evolution is a very valuable experience. Not wiping the shit out of it.
I think yeah, and I think everybody comes like from the there's games where wipes are part of the gameplay. And
yeah, I hate that culture. That culture fucking sucks. The Tarkov, there's so many people advocating for regularly wiping Tarkov, and that just take the meaning of a game out for me. I want to build up my stash so fucking big that I am going to overload their database. That's the point of Tarkov for me.
So yeah, I mean that's like there's games that have that culture. I don't see Star Citizen necessarily having that culture. That's why I'm like I don't see the value
Isn't it
of
supposed
wipes.
to be an MMO?
Yeah.
Who the fuck wiping the MMO?
Exactly. So that's where I'm like I don't see the value, but at the same time they do need to I do believe like when they monumentally change the game that they want to see how it affects players and their progression in the game. Like, don't you see values of wiping like in the alpha stages and beta stages of the game? A little bit, at least, from a gameplay perspective, and not just a database thing.
Do you mean they want to collect some data for the sake of balancing it?
Correct.
Well, here's the thing: if we have a constant inflow of new players, that won't be necessary, because all we have to do is just focusing on the new players' data
player.
set. Yeah, that will be the best point of, okay, well, what will happen if I start at the introduction of this new system and we look at the evolution of these particular players or this group of players as a sample base, right? We see how their data evolve as time goes on. Then you have a best point for the balancing. You don't need to drag everyone into the same bucket. Actually, you do want to keep some of them who are just starting from the alpha point of the game development, right? Because you can then see, all right, what's the effect on those players? Do my new system suddenly drag them to be an outliner or something? I'm rumbling because I'm losing my sort of track.
You're not rambling. I think you're making perfect sense, and you're arguing against ever having a wipe from a gameplay perspective more than anybody has, and your points are like mega like factual and based in some reality, I think so.
Yeah, I'm really against the idea of wiping for the sake of a wipe of gameplay experience, because we can just give the player that option, right? Just go reset your character.
Yes, and the thing is, Puckilla, is that the character resets don't do that. So they don't wipe your reputation. They don't do any of that. I would really like. I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you brought up the things that you did because you completely like changed my perspective on the whole thing, and that's why I love doing this show particularly because at the end of this, I would have never had this feeling unless we had this call. Why not just give us the ability to wipe our accounts if we want to, and start from scratch if we want to? Now you seem to have some very serious knowledge on how this stuff works. Is that some sort of difficult engineering feat from their side of things to just allow for us to handle those sort of character resets and wipes ourselves?
I cannot be 100% sure, but for engineering side, I don't see any difficulty implementing a system where a player can request a data reset.
Yeah.
Maybe once a week, or maybe they just want to prevent some accident, right?
Yeah, a limited amount of time for sure.
But another thing that comes into play is they might want to avoid player having too much influence on their own data, because data is a very valuable thing for a game company.
Yeah.
Because you get to see how players react. You get to see how player how do you say, play the game in a non-biased way. You don't have to go to the spectrum and watch all these degen shit going around and make you lose your brain cell. You can just look at the data. Data doesn't lie. If feature engagement is so low, that means nobody's playing this part of the features. That means, okay, this is a flaw. What can we do? Is player quitting the game because any particular feature that causing frustration? It will show very clearly on the data set. We have a way to analyze that, those sort of stuff.
In a lot of ways, the data is like the most important thing, and then they use our feedback to more solidify their data. Usually, I would imagine, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going to reply to the guy in the chat. Yes, the data isn't gone because your gear got wiped, but the problem is the evolution of the data got interrupted.
Yeah.
You do not get to
What
progress
happens
to
after?
the next step.
Yeah, what happens after the gear is gone? That now the data's doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so that's my point of view, because I'm beginning to see that people wanting kind of a regular wiping culture. And that's something I absolutely do not want to see in an MMO, because it doesn't make a sense to me.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be a constantly evolving universe.
Yeah, and now let's fling it all the way back to Escape from Tarkov, a game that is, as far as I understand, is intended, and I know like there's some big Escape from Tarkov fans. I've even seen some mods in chat for huge Tarkov streamers in here. I don't play it much, so please help me understand this. It's my understanding that Escape from Tarkov is meant to be very much more like an MMO game where there is no wipes and it's consistently going forever. And I think they've almost put themselves in a place where wipes have become part of the game, and that's what you do. And like it might not be good.
I think it's just a lack of end. What do they say in the MMO? End game content.
Yeah.
For Tarkov. So what people tend to do is they just, okay, the end game content is not there. Why do I just go back and start from zero and enjoying that flow of progression again? Because the problem is with Tarkov is you reach a kind of zero progression when you kind of mix up your stash, mix up your stat. You just become a killing machine, and that's all you do. You kill.
Yeah, and then so it may just be very much like in a Star Citizen state where there's more stuff that needs to be added to the game to get to that point. But
yes and no, because Star Citizen is more of a sandbox than Tarkov. Tarkov is actually a very
it's interesting. It's like an FPS
it's
game.
It's not sandbox.
Yeah, it's an FPS game that like that wears other hats of other types of games, but it's not. It's its own thing in a lot of ways, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I think that this call was like not what I expected. I totally thought you were going to come in here and just troll everybody that was making fun of Minecraft, because I know you defend that game like to no end.
Listen, I don't want to talk about this, but I really wish they just copy the inventory system of Minecraft. Holy shit.
What, little boxes?
Do you know how much... Listen, if you play Minecraft, you understand how much item is in your inventory and how much of them you have to deal with it. You have to organize them in chests. You have to move things around. You constantly have to involve of crafting, collecting other elements to craft, and you use those stuff to craft another item. There's another moving around for these inventory that you collect from the world.
Yeah.
Then there's a Star Citizen. Then I had to spend 10 minutes dragging knife that I cannot stack on the top of each other. Then when I go to Sailland, I have to wait for 5 minutes for the process to complete. Then I can get to sell another knife, then another one, then another one. Then it goes to 30K, and then my ship despawned because I forgot to store it.
The Star Citizen experience, everyone. In Pawkilla's words. Oh, man.
The only good thing I can say about this new wipe is my FPS double.
Yeah.
From 10 to 20, that is.
Well, mine went from 50 to 100, so take that.
Yeah, fuck you too, buddy.
All right. That's a good spot to end it. Pawkilla, thank you for your incredibly informative call, and I appreciate you taking the time out to basically dumpster every single other person that called and why
I have to say, that's just from my experience. There might be other reason why Star Citizen Direct team want to do something else. They have the full picture. I don't. I just watching this from a very far side.
Yes.
With a fucking new river tech, of course, in the middle of this thing. So I might take the wrong idea or something. Yeah.
Maybe. You know what? I think the river is holding back the Minecraft inventory. Okay? I definitely think that's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. All right, Pawkilla, we'll let you go, man.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye now. And I see there's one more caller in the queue. This is where we're going to end it. So I was already planning on ending it, and I know I could not go without a Pawkilla call. I thought it was going to be hilarious. It was both incredibly informative and hilarious all at the same time. That is Pawkilla, guys. He's one of my favorite people in the world. We used to play Star Citizen a lot together. The only time I can get him to play other games with me now is if I play Minecraft. So, but he's one of my favorite people on the planet. He's the best. So I'm glad you got to experience a conversation with Pawkilla because it's really good. I'm not sure exactly what he does for a living. I think it is involved in game dev. So I think you can kind of tell that he came from that point of view. I think a lot of people that came on the show came from a gamer background and just wanted to have a bit more fun. So, yeah. And I thought they thought wipes would improve that, but the more I think about it, the more Pawkilla kind of changed my mind there at the end. So guys, that'll do it for today's show. I appreciate you calling in and coming in and having that conversation with me and giving me all sorts of different perspectives. And yeah, I appreciate it. So make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below. If you're watching on Twitch and you didn't catch the whole show, it'll be up on YouTube shortly. And I just appreciate all of you guys watching. As always, you can follow here on Twitch. If you're new here, make sure you hit the follow button for more Answer the Calls. Weekend Review will be up tomorrow. I'm going to try to do something with the TV in the background for Weekend Review. I don't know if it's going to work, though. And yeah, thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.